will be helping us have a deeper insight of the status of the county assemblies. So Elvis Wambura, I believe all our panelists are here with us. Elvis, can you hear me?
Yes, Isaac, I believe I can see already Honorable Millicent in the room. I can see Honorable Chris Mark, Honorable Joy Lisa is in the room, and I believe the rest who have not been, Honorable Milka is also present, and maybe Honorable Lucy is trying to join in. I've just called her. So
Okay.
yeah, we have 4 out of 5. So, and the other one is just joining us in a few.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the purpose of the meeting is to critically analyze the status of our county assemblies in regards to two main topics. That is the first one, maybe the wrangles that are always witnessed between the county governors and the members of the county assemblies. Particularly, we have Nairobi County, which the leadership has witnessed a lot of challenges. You also have Kirinyaga County as an example, and these are not the only two counties that have witnessed a leadership wrangle between the governors and the county assembly members. And then we also have the second question, which will be consuming a very big time for our discussion, and that is regards to the cash stalemate that is still ongoing at the Senate. As members of the county assemblies, are the people who are close to Mashinani. I know this thing is affecting you very much. The citizens are asking for critical services, but the county governments cannot perform because the senators have not agreed to what criteria the cash should be dispensed to the counties. And also we'll be having a closer look at the preparedness of the county governments. The national government has given that responsibility to the county governments to lead in the fight against COVID-19. And it will give us the opportunity maybe of the MCS to tell us the preparedness of their county governments in regards to COVID-19. And then lastly, I know that in the panel that you have today, and it is a reflection of the whole county, we have so many members of the county assemblies who are young people or below the age of 35. And one question that maybe we'll want to hear from our panelists is that having so many young members of the county assemblies, does it mean that it's time that the young people should rise up and maybe come 2022 ensure that they occupy all, if not if they occupy 80%, if not all of the legislative positions? Are the young people well strengthened, well supported, and also well capacity built in regards to preparing them for leadership positions in the future? That is it from CMD Kenya. We believe and we hope that you're going to have a good fruitful discussion. We'll be a little bit listening to the inputs, and then we'll be following keenly. And then immediately the panelists are done with the presentation, the members, the youth leaders, and the civil societies will also weigh in on the topic of discussion. And leading us in today's discussion, we have Elvis Wambura from KYPA, who will be moderating the above session. Elvis, karibu sana.
Well. Thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you for that brief description of what is expected of today's discussion. This is a continuation. We started yesterday, and this is the second day. Today we are covering around 5 counties, and good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. It's great to have your company again. My name is Elvis Wambura. Asanteni sana for tuning in this discussion, and by CMD Kenya, and also in partnership with the KYMCA. Today we will also delve into the status of the county government as at these COVID times, and we are pleased to have a very fantastic and beautiful panel. We have Honorable Chris Mark. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for joining us. We have Honorable Chris Mark is also the organizing secretary of the Kenya Young Members of County Assemblies Association, and is also an MCA in Laikipia County Assembly. We have Honorable Mil Kangare from Muranga County Assembly. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for joining us. We have Honorable Millicent from Tharaka-Nithi County. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for joining us. We have Honorable Joy Lisa from Kirinyaga County. Asante sana, Mheshimiwa. And we will be having Honorable Lucy Mugure from Kiambu County, who will be joining us, I believe, shortly. Just before maybe we start, I would like to Honorable Lucy Mugure is already in the meeting. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for also joining us. Just before we start, I don't know if Isaac, someone from CMD with some remarks to put across.
No, we can just proceed on.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe just before we get started, I would just like to give the panelists a chance. Before I give them a chance, I would also like to recognize the presence of young leaders from political parties. We have youth from youth serving organizations. We have student leaders in the meeting, and we also have youth from the local communities in this meeting. So just as startup, I would like to introduce Honorable Chris Mark to just introduce himself and say a word as we start. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Elvis. It's a good job you're doing. In fact, I almost confused with some NTV or Citizen anchor. I don't know whether that is another career you can also be thinking of. But I'm happy that we're having a chance to review the status of our different counties and actually even figure out, because as members who are sitting in these assemblies, anytime this money is that actually is being fought for, or rather is being debated on what to be allocated to which region and what have you, when it comes, it is asked to oversight. So it is a very strong debate. And I know we have not been able to put our voice on it, though CAF has tried, but I believe such a forum is good. I thank CMD. CMD has always done its part to making sure that democracy is
We are losing you, Mheshimiwa. Don't know. Honorable Chris Mark once settled. Maybe let me introduce Honorable Millicent from Tharaka Nithi to just introduce herself and say a word. Millicent, kindly unmute. Kindly unmute your mic, Honorable Millicent.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Elvis?
Yes, we can hear you now, Mesh.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, CMD, for this great opportunity. Thank you, our leadership at KYP.
Kindly unmute, Mheshimiwa. Your mic keeps on.
Am I unmuted?
You're well. Can proceed.
Good. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Milka, everyone else. I want to say that this is a great opportunity for all of us to engage in this very, very crucial debate on the youth, the COVID-19, and the CRA standoff that is keeping the counties very grounded. So I want to say that we are actually, I'm very privileged to be here. I look forward really to standing in the gap for the youth, inclusively for the women, and the standoff that has held counties at ransom with this revenue ill advice, ill everything else. And we look forward to really creating a way forward. And I hope by the end of this, we come up with something that can really be used by people out there, the youth, the Senate, and everyone, you know, to make things run now that we are suffering these COVID-19 issues.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that introduction. Honorable Milka.
Hi, Elvis.
Hi, Mesh.
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd want to apologize for an issue that I'm having. I'm using two computers. One is my camera, but my background is what I'm seeing. So you might see like I'm looking behind because I can't keep looking at the camera because I can't see from the first computer that I'm having. But anyway, sorry for that. My name is Mil Kangare and I'm an MCA from Murang'a County. I belong to a party that is probably what people will not expect, that is the Democratic Party of Kenya. Hata sisi tuko na watu huko, and I'm sure CMD is our supporter and we really appreciate that. Besides that, I appreciate the meeting and the initiative by your team, Elvis. Thank you. This debate, the more we have these debates about these wrangles and these issues, the more we are likely to have solutions. So I really appreciate your efforts. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe Honorable Joylisa.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Honorable Joylisa Njage from Kirinyaga County. I'm looking forward to having a very fruitful discussion. Like my colleague Honorable Milka has mentioned, I think it's very important when people talk about it. I think it's also part of civic education, which people actually need. We need to know exactly what is happening so that we can find solutions. So I'm looking forward to this discussion, which is a continuation of the discussion that was there yesterday. And I'm hoping that we can actually find lasting solutions. So thank you, Elvis and CMD, for choosing to have us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Let me now bring Honorable Lucy Mugure.
Hi guys. Hi everybody. My name is Lucy from Kiambu County. I'm sorry I was a bit late to log in. I think it was just internet issues. I live in Gatondo. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. For the youth, I feel like we have fresh minds and we're able to make these decisions without bias, considering every one of us as beneficiaries of this county government. So I'm really looking forward. Thank you so much, Elvis. Thank you so much, CMD. I hope we'll have a very fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Honorable Chris Mark, I hope you can now finish up on your introduction.
Oh, sorry, Elvis, I'm a bit off the scope, as you can see from the background. So here where I am, internet is a problem. But I was just saying I'm glad to be here. And just like Honorable Joelisa said, you know, there's a lot of misconception and misknowledge about the issue of the revenue formula and what have you. So I'm happy that it's an issue we can also deliberate and, you know, get to know how we can educate our people, because it's bringing a lot, it's politicized, and yet it's something that is urgent and also delayed. And so it's good we have such a forum, and we thank the CMD. And I also commend the panelists who are here. They're able people. I've worked with them in other forums, and even the political party people who are here and everybody else. We don't take this for granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And as the audience that is following this discussion on Facebook, on the Zoom link can observe, I told you this is going to be a very fantastic and beautiful panel, and you can see from the panelists that we already have. So just to already get started with our discussion, maybe I'll just bring you to speed with the 2010, when the new constitution of Kenya was promulgated. The promulgation of the constitution ushered in a new governance dispensation in the country, which brought along a new Supreme Court, the Bill of Rights, and even the decentralization of the national government, which created the 47 counties. Despite the constitution outlining the objectives that are aimed at promoting self-governance, we've seen counties in one way or the other experiencing obstacles that have hindered full realization of the self-governance envisioned by the constitution. Some of the obstacles include a lot of infights and conflicts witnessed between the county assemblies and even the executives that have grossly hampered the effective citizen representation and service delivery. So that is why in today's discussion, we want to just delve a bit into the status of the county leaderships and the problems that have been existing. And we are glad today to have representation from actually some of the counties that we've seen these problems happen. We have Honorable Lucy Mugure from Kiambu County, from where we saw some few issues arising, and which led even to the impeachment of the governor. We have Honorable Joelisa, where there have been an attempt to impeach the governor, which has not gone through yet. And it's very interesting to get their views around these issues. Maybe just to start with Honorable Lucy Mugure, maybe you could tell us where is the missing link, or where is the problem? Why are we having these infightings between the assemblies and the executives? What is happening, and why the stand step that you took as Kiambu?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that we are going on well with the new governor. It is always good to appreciate new leadership because we are giving opportunities to people to prove themselves. So mostly what happens in county governments, as an assembly, there are people who keep saying MCAs kazi yao ni kutoa governors. But you see what happens in the assembly. Our work is just to go into the assembly, we come up with laws, and the work of the executive is to execute. And the moment that they do not do that, we look like we are also failing. So that is why you see there are so many counties who are saying they're going to impeach the governor, because after they pass the laws in the assembly, after we give them budgets, after we tell them this is what we want to do with the money, and then these things we are getting from Wanjiko to come and tell them, now we have decided on this is what we do. And we are not implementers, we are oversighters. So whatever we tell them, ama whatever we sit down and decide to do, we leave it to them. So when it comes to when we find that it is not happening, that's why you see counties saying they are going to impeach the governor. It is not that we do not, it is not that our work is to impeach. It is because that our work is to check whether the things that we pass in the assembly have been, like, for example, this story for, like in my county, we passed a motion regarding, what was it called? It was about taking records. Because, for example, like the youth in Kenya, we need to know how many youths we have so that we are able to include them. So when we passed that motion, it was not implemented at all. You see, when we do things in the assembly and they are not implemented, it ends up to, and we give budgets and the things that we want done are not done. That is why you hear MCAs all over saying that they want to impeach the governor. I think that is the case in my county. And that is what happened in our county. Members felt that they had no confidence with the governor, and it was being communicated. Even actually, members of the electorates came to the assembly with a memorandum saying that they want the governor impeached because things are not done for them. So we had no choice than to come up with a motion on the floor of the House to impeach the governor. I think that is what is happening in our county. I don't know about Tharaka Nithi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that update. And maybe just to link it up to Honorable Joelisa, Honorable Lucy has clearly mentioned that sometimes there are things that are passed in the assemblies and they cannot be implemented by the governor. Yet, this is a team that is elected into elective positions together, and they join the assembly. And at first, things seem so rosy, but as time goes by, things start changing. Kirinyaga attempted to do that just a few months ago, and it didn't go through. But I don't know what are the next steps that the county assembly has taken to just make sure that this one is not repeated.
Thank you, Elvis. So in the case of Kirinyaga, we would not say that it was not successful. I think we did our part. And like Honorable Lucy has mentioned, the work of the MCA is legislation, that is passing laws in the county assembly, representation and oversight. Yeah. So the big problem comes in because people miscrew what representation is. So people think MCAs are supposed to be going on the ground and making roads and making bridges, which is not the work of the MCA though. So in our county, basically, whilst we did impeach the governor at county level, that was because of issues that we found, which was then performing our oversight mandate. So when we found that some things are not correctly done, we had issues with the tendering process. Of course, then we have a lot of issues when it comes to the ward projects, which are not being done. We had a lot of different issues which fall under our oversight role. And so we felt that it was necessary because we were not getting anywhere with discussions, because that actually wasn't on the table. So we did our part. We did what was necessary to be done. And I can actually say that, okay, so while Senate put it back to us and did not go through with the impeachment process, then the case is still in court. So I can't talk too much about the part that is still in court, but I can say that even now our budget is in court. So again, it brings more problems to us because then nothing can move in the county level, which is not something that should be happening. I think systems are supposed to work the way they're supposed to work. I think we have a lot of gaps when it comes to the County Government Act, because our roles become, when we do our part, then almost like then there's another body to verify your part. It almost does not make total sense. So we are hopeful that we are going to get over the impasse and we're going to have the county government moving. But the key thing I would want to mention is, let us not misconstrue what representation is. Like, your MCA is supposed to come listen to your problems, then see how they can be resolved. So if it's, say you want a road, the MCA makes sure that is in the budget, but it is not the work of the MCA to have it done. The work of the MCA is to see, is it being done? The money was put in the budget. Is the executive, which is the governor's office, are they executing what is being done? So whilst they might look like there's a lot of fighting, it's not really We are doing our role as within the limitations of it, because you cannot go and get contractors to do the road. That is the work of the governor. So I think we are doing our best and trying to just make sure people are represented and not overstepping our mandate as well, but also ensuring that our oversight is ensuring that service delivery for the people.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that clarification and just clarifying the roles of the MCA. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about the roles of the MCA. I think that is a discussion that should be taken up some other day so that the public is well aware of the work that the MCAs are supposed to do and not actually confuse that with the work of the executive. And Honorable Millicent, I want to bring you to attention of some issue that was raised yesterday. Some young people were mentioning the issue about the county assembly is not being willing to sit down with the county executives and agree on modalities of running the government. Is that a true reflection of what is happening in the county assemblies? Is there the county assembly is not ready to sit down with the executive and always agree on issues that are supposed to be pushed together as a whole unit?
Thank you, Elvis. And that's a very huge discussion. That's very true. The executive and the assembly came to power together, but immediately we get to power and we have started now real work on the ground. The ground shifts. It becomes very difficult now for the members of county assembly, like the Honorable Joelisa has said, to start giving their three roles of representation, legislation, and oversight. That is very inclusive of the youths, because like I would say, I am nominated for gender, and most of the time I'm dealing with women and youth issues. They bring you very concrete issues that affect them. You really assembly have them passed and allocated money. Unfortunately, the executive already have what they want to do, and their resolve is final. The money that is supposed to be budgeted for should be catering for every member of the of that county. But you will find the executive dwells so much on whatever they call the 3 big 5, the roads, infrastructure. They want to do buildings, they want to do things that will bring money to them, actually, not to common mwananchi. They are doing things that are not touching the life of the common mwananchi that we represent. So when you hold forums, you want to, like, especially during public participation, you hear youths giving very, very tangible and very touchy issues that will affect them. We want to write bills and do motions that will help them. But once you pass those motions, which is your legislative role, they are not funded. So you have a cabinet full of motions and bills that are not being funded. So the youth feel that they are just minimal, they are just taken, like they are just there to exist, not really to give their views and being taken serious. In my county, I recently had a motion on a youth innovation center that just required 4 million shillings only. You argue it so well, the members support it, it goes through, but when it comes to budgeting, you realize it was removed without your knowledge. And that is the biggest reason why you're seeing MCAs now go at loggerheads with the executive, because we are put there not just as scarecrows. We have work to do. Irrespective of our role of legislation and oversight, there are things that we get from the people we represent that we want featured in development agenda. But unfortunately, you will see, even if we try to copy from the national government, the 17 pillars of the SGDs, you want to be, you're nominated for gender, you want SGD 5 of gender equality to be featured in the budget process so that women have projects that help them, empower them. Youth have projects that will empower them, will keep them busy. We want our youth to use their talent innovatively. There is money that is coming from Senate to the counties, but you will realize that it is channeled to things that only matter for the executive, veering towards their re-election in 2022. So the youth of this country have been neglected, and you are being told that it is them who are not fighting for space. But when you go, for example, for interviews, they are being asked for 10 years of experience. Where do they expect this youth to come from with 10 years of experience if they are not even being given attachment and these small jobs to start with? So the youth have to stand up like we are already doing and get this space for themselves. It is not an easy route. It is a very serious and very hard journey, but we must come together and voice that for them. And the youths, like today morning, I was having a discussion with some youths in my county, and I am telling them in 2023, they are going to elect people with money, 70-year-old again, and put them in offices. But they won't elect young people because they don't have money to represent their interests. So it is also an attitude that we have to change within the youth. In as much as we want them to lead, what are they doing for themselves? Are they coming together and saying, we want to elect a young senator in our county to represent us? And that way, Elvis, we have youth fund. Tell me who is holding the youth fund, who is the CEO, who is doing the women fund. Very old people who do not even understand the current issues affecting the youth. So they are there sitting and they will do things that do not even help the youth. They are not comfortable with them. So they are not even interested in running things they want them to run. They will fund things that the youth are not interested in. So it is the high time the youth also, through the leadership like we are doing in this forum, you can see the MCAs are very young. If we can create awareness and bring agenda of, you do not have to be very wealthy to be put in a position. You need to have a brain. You need to have what do you want to do for the use of this Kenya? And as young MCAs, we need to support our own people to own those big offices, so that they can now start creating avenues for other young people. Otherwise, there's a very big standoff between the executive not even listening to young people. And whenever they give their views, and I've seen that in public participation, the final draft is not affected in terms of what they wanted. So
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
it is a very hard decision to make.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And just to bring some youth from, I think as Anfondo has just said, the executive feels so superior more than the rule of law. That's why county assemblies and executives do differ in many things. Less one manipulates the other, forgetting that everybody is guided by the rule of law. So thank you for that contribution, Hassan Fondo. You brought about the issue about monies, and yesterday there was a concern that the main issue and the main purpose as to why there are so many wrangles in the county assemblies between the assemblies and the executive is the issue of money. That MCAs are always trying to blackmail the governors to giving them some monies, and that is why there's a lot of wrangles, the blackmails in the county assembly. Is that true, Mheshimiwa Milka Ngara?
Yes, Elvis, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. The issue about money is one discussion that maybe we cannot have enough time to discuss about it. We can discuss it every day and every day and every day. But it is true that when it comes to money issues, there are always wrangles that have to come up. My very one issue that I have raised in very many forums, and probably I'll keep making until this is hard, is we have a whole problem with the devolution system. And in terms of the county, the problem comes in this way. There is no way you can oversight your boss. By that, I mean the MCA is the one who is oversighting, and the boss in this case is the governor. The salaries of the MCAs will usually be coming direct from the governor. So if you bring up any oversight issue, then the governor anasema nitawafungia pesa yenyu, because you have to toe the line, you have to listen to what I'm saying and follow that. Otherwise, I'm not going to pay you. So if we want to defeat this issue, first of all, the one thing that needs to be done is to separate those two entities. Let them be treated as different entities. Any money that pertains to the county assembly, let it come directly to the county assembly. And any money that regards development, then let it go to the governor side. So with that being said, what happens normally is, as Joylisa had said, the development money that comes to the governor's side is the MCAs have to go and during their budget making process, that is when they're going to include what is needed. And then the governor is going to execute. But if the governor doesn't want to execute that, then he's going to pass his own budget, and he's going to coerce you to pass in a budget that you MCAs do not want. And if you fail to pass it, then mshahara yenyu inakatwa. So we need, like, you see what happens in the Senate. The Senate doesn't have anything to lose. The Senate, for them, everything, it's a very different entity, an entity that does not depend on anyone else. So when they're doing the oversight role and the legislation role, they do it in a way that no one else can really coerce them or even blackmail them as far as money issues is concerned. And to touch on even people like the youth in our counties, in our county assemblies, we have many bloggers, and most of them are the youth. When you see a youth in the county assembly ati anapingana na governor, like I think Lucy had said that from Kiambu, si ati ni kupigana huwa tunakwanga tukipigana, we are just doing our oversight role. And when we do that, wewe kama mwananchi unakuja kupiga huyu MCA, the youth, ukisema, you are there busy blogging, ati she's not even married, she's this, you know, very stupid things. That is civic education that should be given to our youth. If really we want to make sure that we are even heard, we have to also be very mature. So what our public can do is just support these youth, understand that the role of an MCA is to oversight and not to kuja kutengeneza barabara. So you have no right to kwenda kupigana na MCA, whether he's a youth or otherwise, ati kupigana na yeye ati hajatengeneza barabara. No, that is the role of your governor. And for you, the public, the best you can do is help that MCA to impeach that governor if need be. If the governor is not doing what the MC is asking for, and the role of the MC is also to represent, kama MC ameenda amepeleka barabara yenyu na governor amesema hata peleka, now who is the issue there? Is it the governor or the MCA? So we need to stop this politics where the MCA ndio anapigwa kila wakati. Hata huwa tunapigwa and we don't even have money. Like Joylisa had said, we are not the ones who keep the development money in our counties. It is the governor. Sometimes you have to go kneeling to the governor to ask them ati nitengeneze barabara, but the two of you are elected. Akielektiwa na kura zake pia MC ulielektiwa na kura zako. And it is a very wrong, it's a very wrong way of dealing with leadership. It's very wrong. As Joylisa had said, let us stick to the structures that we have. The role of an MCA, let it be oversight. Let that person be very independent. Then let us have the governor. So that at any one time when the governor fails, then we are going to have the public nyuma ya MCA kutoa huyu governor. Or the governor is going to shape up or shape out. You have two options. But this point where the governor is feeling, I am entitled, I have the power, I'm the boss of the county, I'm the one who's paying this MCA, I can do what I want in this county. That is an attitude that most of the governors are having. Not many governors are having goodwill where they are saying, no, tutashikana na our MCAs and do work together. Not many of them do that. Many of the governors will see an MCA as a threat. Many of the governors are going to think the MCA amekuja hapa atengeneze pesa. And the other thing that they're also going to do ni kuwapatia ile bahasha. Shika hii unyamaze, shika hii unyamaze. And that is happening to youths, which is it's a wrong way of bringing up leadership. If we are expected to be the leaders of tomorrow, then why are we accepting those bribes? Where are we being given that money? But sometimes the MCA is put at that corner because huku nyuma kuna youth mwingine na yeye anaandika kwa blog ati hapana huyu MCA kazi yake ni ya kuhongwa. Now what do you want her to do, or what do you want him to do? So you need to support this MCA and be very knowledgeable about how devolution works. But one major thing for me that is going to finish up these issues is separate those two entities. There are counties which have managed to do that, but most of them are not able to do that yet because the governor bado anataka kukalia wale MCA. But until that time, when those entities will be treated differently, they're going to be dependent entities. Then at least from then, we can see if the issue is the governor or the issue is an MCA. Yeah.
Very much, Honorable Milka, for that insight. I think just from your statements and what Honorable Joylisa also had mentioned, there's clearly some gap in the act that Honorable Joylisa had mentioned that needs to be worked on to ensure that there's a separation of functions between the executive and the county assemblies. That is the only way we can have smooth running of those county assemblies. And now let me bring on Honorable Chris Mark. Honorable Chris Mark, there was first a concern yesterday that the young people, and as young MCAs, the young people have not been given leadership roles, or have not taken up leadership roles even in the county assemblies. Is there something that is disadvantaging the young people from getting these leadership positions, or what is the problem? Honorable Chris Mark, kindly unmute.
Yes, sorry, there's a network
Maybe I can get back. Maybe I can get back to Honorable Chris Mark. I don't know whether you can now. Yes.
Elvis, I was kindly asking for your rephrasing on what you have just said.
Okay. There was a concern from one youth yesterday in the discussion that the young people have not seen. Hassan Fondo, kindly mute your mic. There was a concern from one youth who was saying that they have not seen the young people take up leadership roles, especially in the county assemblies, the roles of the speakers, the roles of the majority leaders, the roles of the committees, chairs, and all that. Is there something that is disadvantaging the young people from getting these positions, or what is the issue?
Yes, okay. Elvis, one thing I would want to say, there is a certain misconception that since there is a category for youth in the gender affirmative action courtesy of the Constitution Article 35, that since they are nominated youth in the assembly, that is where the youth should just stay and watch and listen. It's like a favor is being done. Although I commend a county like Nandi, where the speaker is a very youthful, half the cabinet is youthful, the governor is youthful, and even Elgeyo Marakwet. I would say even like if you're not doing badly off, because the current speaker was chosen at the age of 35 when by 2017. But I can tell you there is that misconception that, you know, it's a favor that youth, you've already been nominated for this position and this position. So leave these other positions for people who know. And it is us who are old, it is us who have been in politics. Nyinyi youth mnataka nini? You would even be told that si tumeweka revolving fund as an act. Wacha youth wewe ridhika na hiyo. Wanakuambia by you just being given this position, and they don't even know that the nomination does not come easy. I look at most of the people that I know, even in the young MCAs who are nominated, they just didn't get it from a silver platter. They either worked for their parties, they either worked to support the president, or the political figures that the party they relate with, you know, to be where they are. So I can tell you it disadvantages us because, you know, there's a time you want to come up with a strong agenda. It is told that hiyo ni kitu ya vijana, hiyo inaweza ngoja. That everything else can be discussed, but vitu ya vijana ikuwe ya mwisho. And I commend KYMCA for encouraging counties to come up with youth caucuses, because youth caucuses, I find them as pressure groups which really help forge a certain agenda within the assembly. Like Milka had said, you can imagine you might have a good idea, or even Millicent of an innovation center. 4 million is a very reasonable budget for something that would help innovation amongst the youth, but it is fought. But I do not know whether the Raka has a youth caucus, but you can imagine if you have a caucus of even 5 or 6 MCAs pushing, that agenda goes through. That has been the only way that youthful legislators have been able to forge their agenda in the counties. I can't speak so much of the national or the Senate because I've not been into those houses yet, but I can say that is the issue here. I will take you back, Elvis. I heard someone say that, you know, but that people take that the work of MCAs is to send governors home. I would say without even fear of favor, that is our role. Our role is to impeach a governor. If a governor is not performing, if a governor is misappropriating funds, then I will never shy away. Whoever says that, you see, they make it look like we're supposed to be ashamed. That is a constitutional mandate, that if a governor is not working, Elvis, we can call him to account. If he cannot account, we pass an impeachment motion against him. And I commend Kirinyaga. I do not know the basis, but if they saw them in their wisdom that this person was not working in their mandate and they decided to impeach, they should never be taken that they did a bad thing. That is their mandate. But be as it may, coming back to what we are saying, it should never be taken that way. And I commend counties that don't see it as a favor giving youth positions. And I don't see this position as being given. You might even find, and I'll not mention a county, where there was a position of deputy speaker. There was an application process and everything else. One of the youth in that assembly was very youthful. They applied. Do you know even the application for the deputy speaker position did not see the light of day because it was said who ni under 35 ataongoza. You know, the constitution says that, you know, if you are the deputy speaker, you're the chair of chairs, which is the liaison chair. And the funny thing, most of the chairs were old. People said, how can a youth be leading us as deputy speaker? So your nomination usilete for consideration. So it hinders a lot. Youth should be youth who are able, not just because you are youth, but youth who are able, have the capacities, should be given room to articulate their issues, to forge their agendas.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And it is good to know that as young MCAs, as the Kenyan members of county assemblies, you are pushing the agenda of the youth in the counties by encouraging formation of caucuses. Then that is from where a lot of support can be marshaled, so to ensure that we get into these kind of positions that could be beneficial to the young people. And just coming back to you again, Mheshimiwa, we saw on February 25th, the government invoked Article 187 of the Constitution, which saw Nairobi County, some of the key functions being transferred from the county government to the national government. And it was a topic of discussion. It was a concern from many young people yesterday in the discussion. In the spirit of devolution, do you think this is the right direction to push this agenda, or do you think there could be something better that could be done to ensure that this does not happen to any other county the same way it happened to Nairobi? Honorable Chris Mark.
Elvis, I would say the transfer of functions to the national government is provided for in the Constitution, but this is usually a more of a last resort, where a county cannot be able to actually fully undertake some of the roles that they have. Whether is the health matters, is the transport, is security, and what have you. Most of the functions that are already devolved, like agriculture and even health. If a county cannot be able to provide the proper services to its people, for whatever reason soever, and they have tried and tried, they should actually seize some of the functions so that the wananchi who need these services are not caught up in that problem where services cannot be provided. But Elvis, it should be done with the proper public participation. It should not be like a gentleman's agreement or an assembly agreement. Even the Constitution provides that the residents of Nairobi should have been put should have been brought the issue in public participation, asked what is your feeling. We feel like, if it's health, tumeshindwa nayo. If it is transportation, we cannot manage. And this is our thinking, that we cede some of these roles to the national government so that there is efficiency in the delivery. That if that is done well and the citizens are involved and it goes to the same assembly, and even the MCs should be fully involved, not a governor and the CS devolution kind of agreement. No, even the assembly itself should be brought. Okay, this is a report from the public participation. The wananchi feel like as a county, there are some functions that we are not able to attain, we are not able to execute well, so that the taxpayers and the citizens of that county can get these services, and then it is done formally and what have you. You know the problem with the one for Nairobi, and I don't know the details because I've not read the deed of transfer and what have you. If you talk to wananchi, and all of us go to Nairobi because Nairobi is the capital, we find they didn't even know it was happening. They find that it is clouded with a lot of suspicion, with a lot of misconception. Then you have a county leadership saying that, I did not know what I was signing, that I was under the influence of something, that I was given this and this. So all those stories would have not been happening, and we would not have been entertained to such dramas if the proper procedures would have happened, Elvis.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And maybe Honorable Lucy Mugure, to get your thoughts on this, because I know Kiambu County is very close to Nairobi County and you share a lot of things together. Do you think the county governments are unable to handle some functions, especially of these urban counties?
I don't think that the county government is not able to handle these functions, because we already have laws and procedures that are laid down on how these things should be handled. You see, my thinking is what happens when it comes to, when it's seen as a big role, I don't think we trust the county government. We think that it cannot work. So when you think that it cannot work, that is why you find that they had this issue. And then when probably a county is in wrangles where maybe the county is not able to work well with the MCAs, are always impeaching the speaker, they're always impeaching the governor. If the county is seen as stable, so you find that maybe the national government or people feel like these roles are too big for these people to handle. But if the laid down procedures are used properly, I think the county government, there's nothing that a county government cannot be able to handle, because each department has a chief executive officer, has a county chief officer who handles the funds, and then it has so many directors. Each county can be able to handle each and every department. And even in the assembly, we have committees where there's, for example, in planning, we have a whole committee of many members who are able to deal with these issues, discuss. give it to the executive. So I don't think that we can say at a county cannot be able to handle the matter. I think it is actually easier because you see, it is just in each and every county, they handle their own matters, and then all of them come together to be able to complete. But I don't think as the county government is not able to handle the matters. They should be able to handle the matters if the correct procedures, just like the lady from just like what Milka said. If we are able to follow the procedures, if the governor is able to do exactly what like for example, when it comes to budget, there's a budget process that we use. It is not something that just comes up. We sit down, we think, we have a budget process, we have an annual development plan, we have the 5-year plan. So it is something that can be done. I think that's how I feel.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, from that contribution. And I think from the chat, there is one Judith Chite who's just commented the entire issue is triple from the top. The executives choose those they work with based on relationship, and then are not really the ability to execute their roles as intended. Until this stops, then we will always mark time on the same spot. Indeed, MCAs need to be independent. Then before we twist the conversation a bit, let me bring in Sheila Cherotich for a minute to contribute to this discussion. Sheila Cherotich. Sheila Cherotich. It seems Sheila Cherotich,
hello?
Are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Yes,
Hi,
kindly
Elvin.
contribute. Hi.
Thank you so much. I want to thank CMD for this opportunity. My name is Sheila Cherotich Kosgei from ODM Youth League. I'm the National Youth Treasurer. My concern is I just wanted to talk about the status of the county government. I feel like first and foremost, during this Corona period, we lack resources at the county level to run the county. That's why we lack a lot of beds and nurses. That's why we have people who are boycotting the situation. I feel the county should be very much prepared in this situation of Corona, and also in a way, if like in a spark, if we like Nairobi County right now, we have a situation of like if it spreads and we have lack of beds, we have lack of nurses. How can we handle the situation there at the county level? So another thing I wanted to contribute is about the CRA advanced allocation. Some counties like Nairobi, Elvis, take it for instance, the county revenue allocation, you cannot equate that to Tana River County, where I come from.
Sheila, maybe just to cut you short, I think we are coming there and we will be able to discuss that in details when we get into that point of discussion. I think we were just dealing generally on the status of the counties as they are and the leadership role at the county levels. Then we will come into the issue of the revenues and even the COVID story when we get there.
I think I will solve fast. So can I go back to the issue of the county?
I think I'll get back to you once we get into because the county government issue was...
I can still contribute on the issue of the leadership of the
kindly,
counties and how the youth can be...
Kindly do that. Kindly do that. Shortly.
Okay, fine. The issue of the county, personally, I can talk at ODM level. At ODM, what we've done into counties where we have our strongholds, we've been able to make our youths who are very active at the county, we've been able to talk to our governors, see how our youths can be employed at a county level. And I can give you an example of Mombasa County, Nairobi County, and Nyanza region, where we've employed a lot of youths who are not who are less privileged, and they can be able to communicate to be able to be included in the society. So in ODM, I think we've done a lot of the things that we've done there. in
Thank you very
respective
much.
counties.
Thank you very much, Sheila, for your contribution. And maybe just now to head straight into another discussion, but again, still county leadership comes in. We are living in very unprecedented times, and we have COVID-19 now with us here. And a lot of issues have arose. We've seen so many county governments being criticized at the beginning of June they had not set up structures which were well enough to accommodate surging cases of the COVID-19. We've seen reports this week that at least now all the counties that we have in Kenya have reported positive cases of COVID-19. And this even as the president decided to ease the cessation of movement restrictions recently. I don't know, Honorable Joelisa, you come from a county that is semi-urban and rural in a big way. Are there and there have been cases reported that many people in the rural counties are now not following the government directives. I don't know whether they have become tired, but there are reports getting to us that a lot of people in the rural counties have now given it up. They are now doing gatherings, they are doing funerals, they are doing a lot of functions which do not really meet the standards of the government that the health ministry has given. What is the problem? Where is the missing link now that has happened 6 months into the COVID-19?
Thank you, Elvis. I think rural counties like ours, I think for the longest time, like when COVID hit and we were seeing a lot of cases being announced we were seeing it on TV, literally. So a county like Kirinyaga, we only got cases as of last week. So when you're seeing Kirinyaga is zero all the time, zero, every time the numbers are being read out by the CS and it's zero, a lot of people almost stopped taking it seriously and seeing like it's real. So you saw people going back into the markets and going about their normal day. At first, people were wearing masks and then people stopped. At some point, people were very keen on having like, hand washing. At some point, people were even wearing gloves, but then it completely stopped. And then now we are seeing that when cases have started, there's actually a lot of stigma at county level. It's actually crazy. We almost have to do a re-education on it because it's become really crazy when people are saying, okay,
Honorable Mbula Mutula, kindly mute your mic.
So we are seeing like when the cases were mentioned at Kirinyaga, there is a lot of stigmatization in the whole region, the region at large. Like, okay, so people from Kirinyaga are corona. So it's, I think we need then to go back into re-education. But going back to the point of how then is our preparedness and what have we been doing, I think goes back to the point of our oversight role as a county assembly, because at first when we were told the whole COVID situation started in March, the county assembly budget did an emergency budgeting, we did a supplementary budget, put in some 4 million in there for preparedness. And then we saw what the governor did is she went and bought a few tanks and a few masks, and that was about it from the 4 million. Then of course we did the budget and we put in an extra 20 million. And then the county government gave us 116 million. Then the other problem arises where our budget is now in court and we cannot access this money. So then when our teams, we have at the assembly level, we have our own COVID-19 committee. It's an ad hoc committee to be checking up on what is our level of preparedness. So we have been going into the hospitals and checking how many beds do we actually have and all that. And we were seeing that our beds are actually very limited. We don't actually have enough personnel. Kirinyaga County has 1 ICU bed, which was donated by World Bank just recently, but then we also don't have an ICU nurse. So the bed almost becomes, does not make any sense that you have it there, because then we don't have somebody to actually work on it. So, well, there's a report that came out, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, that we now have 200 beds. I cannot confirm that. I think our COVID team is going to go on the ground and confirm that. But as when we went to check, the level of preparedness was very low, and it's actually pretty sad. So when then we bring these things up, like I would say, when we went the first time and said there is no preparedness, we're doing a lot of nothing as a county, then you're told, oh, mnachapa governor, nini nini. It doesn't make sense. Like, let the county represent you. Let us, when we give information, let it be not be seen like we are trying to fight somebody. We are trying to get services for the people. And we cannot have the same people you're trying to get services for trying to tell you, oh, mnachapa governor. We want service delivery, because service to the people is not a favor you're doing to them. We are trying to ensure that you get what you deserve. So our level of preparedness, not the greatest. I'm hoping it will get better. I think when you keep pushing, when the different levels do their job and keep pushing, then we are able to get the services that we need. I think the national government has done their part, because I think 116 million used the right way can go a very long way for our county, because our county is not that large. I think once you do what is expected, I think we can actually go a very long way in actually helping fight this pandemic, and it would go a very long way. That is also why the reason I'd actually say COVID-19 is almost it's a blessing in disguise when it comes to the healthcare in our country, because for the longest time we didn't realize how badly off our hospitals are until now that there's COVID and everybody's thinking, wait a minute, we do not have an ICU in Kirinyaga. Wait a minute, we do not have an ICU in this other county. Like, I think COVID-19 has come as a blessing in disguise, because then the people actually question those really important things, because health is devolved. That means citizens are supposed to get healthcare in their counties. I don't need to get sick in Kirinyaga and have to travel all the way to Nairobi to access an ICU, which is something that actually happened. One of my family members got sick in Kirinyaga, and the nearest ICU that we could go to is the ICU in Nyeri, which has 6 beds. By then had 6 beds, which is last year in April, had 6 beds. So coming from Kirinyaga all the way to Nyeri, those roads are not the greatest. Trying to access an ICU, it's really not, it really shows that we have failed in that level. Also noting the fact that Kirinyaga did not have a CEC for health. After the last one resigned, it was almost a whole year before we then had another CEC for health. So I think COVID-19 has come as a blessing in disguise, because then we get to literally question our healthcare as a county and what we need to do. And then we are getting funding, and we are really focusing on healthcare. So I'm hoping in the next short term, then we are able to actually improve our facilities at county level, and then we are able to address not only COVID, but every other healthcare issues.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Thank you for that contribution. Honorable Milka Ngare, talking about preparedness. Notably, there's a comment from Scholar Nyawira to everyone. As the Vice Chair of the Kirinyaga County COVID-19 Ad hoc Committee, I can confirm that we do not have 200 COVID beds. Too bad to have wrong data released to the public. Honorable Milka Ngare, maybe you could tell us how is the Murang'a County prepared? Are you well prepared, or you share in the same thoughts with the Honorable Joelis?
Thank you again, Elvis. If I'm to speak about Murang'a, I wouldn't say I will confirm, neither deny any information. But what we have in the public, and maybe the only thing that I can confirm, is we built an ICU center with 35 ICU beds. We also have a capacity of around 350 isolation beds. That is what I haven't seen. Stuff to do with the ICU center, that one I can confirm it is there. And as Joelisa had said, this is an issue that has come, we can call it a blessing in disguise, because for a very long time, we have not had any ICU bed actually in the Mount Kenya region. The one that we had is that one in Nyeri with 6 beds only. So now with Murang'a, maybe that can help the region. But as far as Murang'a is concerned, that is a plus for us. With 35 ICU beds, 350 isolation beds distributed around we have 7 sub-counties, then I think for us that will be, it is something that you can say we are comfortable with. But the issue with COVID-19, I can say we have sometimes, sorry for calling it that way, we have a notorious public, in the sense, now that they hear we are having many beds and the infrastructure is there, then people will start thinking, nikigonjeka nitapelekwa hospitali. Murang'a bado haijaja. The issue is still, we don't even have any patients admitted in the ICU. So people will tend to be now more reluctant on how they are obeying the measures that are given by the national government. So it should be a wake-up call to all public and Murang'a people, because I have seen and I have been there, and you see that people, especially our watu wa matatu, I think for them, I don't know what happens with Kikuyus, and I don't mean to bring a tribal issue, because when it comes to money issues, for them, they don't care whether they're going to get sick or not. So for them, watu wako kwa matatu, umebeba watu. But the good thing is they have obeyed the guideline of eight people per matatu, a 14-seater. So that one is okay. But in terms of even wearing the mask, inavaliwa hapa, and maybe even us, even as leaders, we also notorious in that sense, because hata sisi ukifika kuongea na mtu mwingine, another MCA, unaingoa ati ndio kuone vizuri, you wonder, this person knows you have just put it on, protect yourself. So as far as being notorious is concerned, I think Kenyans, we have been that way all around. So maybe we just need to be more careful. The presence of those ICU beds and the presence of isolation beds does not give you a way to misbehaving, because you think you are going to be sorted in that side. Because once you get that COVID-19, your health is going to dilapidate. So you need to be very careful. So just take care of yourself, whether your county is prepared or not. You just have to be careful with yourself. But as far as preparedness, our county, I can say we are very well prepared. Maybe other counties should come and benchmark from our county.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that, and thank you for noting that the county is well prepared, and I hope you keep on sensitizing the public, because in as much as the county might be prepared, if the public does not take it as upon themselves to actually follow the directives, then the county might be overwhelmed. And now, Honorable Millicent, there's always an issue about monies geared towards COVID-19, and most counties have been complaining of not having enough monies to deal with this case. How is Tharaka Nithi prioritizing the funds that they already have towards ensuring that they keep their population safe, and they ensure that they have enough capacity to even accommodate any increases in the cases in the county? How are you prioritizing the already existing budgets, the small budgets that you have?
Thank you, Elvis. And the plight of COVID-19 is really something that is shaken even the superpowers, and it is here with us. Like Joelisa said, the way people think it's not in Kirinyaga, Tharaka Nithi is just started recording very few cases, but now it is alarmingly coming up, because now with one sick, we all get sick, because people are not really taking measures very well. We were the first county to pass our 2019-2020 budget, when we allocated close to 20 million to COVID-19, because by the time we were passing our budget, Corona was here with us. And we formed a COVID-19 committee from the assembly to oversight that money. And unfortunately, due to the break of this COVID-19, it has not been effectively oversighted because of electronic meetings. Sometimes people want to hide things when you're talking here, but if you go to the ground, things are very different. And as a county assembly in Tharaka Nithi, we were able to come up with a program of giving back to the society. And we donated 200 beds, isolation beds, to the community as an assembly, because we set a kitty for ourselves. We had set money from the budget to do a MCA project on the COVID-19. But then again, we realized that would be effective, because if we do it as an individual, then it is not very effective. But if we do it as a group, as the whole house, it will bring more impact on the ground. Later on, we were able to receive again and we received money from the national government again on, I think, 39 million for COVID-19. Unfortunately, oversighting over electronic meetings is very, very ineffective, actually, because it's very hard to set meetings one-on-one, and I think the executive is taking advantage of that. And unfortunately, in Tharaka Nithi, we've had some very high-profile members sick from COVID-19, so we all got scared. Because if one of us is sick, not in the assembly, but one of the leaders got sick, so we were not able to really, do it. But over the electronic meetings, we were able to meet. We've been tasking the committee on COVID to give us a report on how far we have gone with the funds. I'm aware that we have 488 isolation beds at our two big hospitals, at Chuka General Hospital and Marimanti General Hospital. And then we have set the 200 isolation from the assembly, making it 688. We have set our level 4 hospital, because we don't have a level 5 in Tharaka Nithi. We have just a one level 4 hospital. We have put an ICU bed. We have put an ICU center there so that we're able to handle. So far in Tharaka Nithi, we have 7 cases of COVID-19, and all of them have been treated. I wouldn't say I'm aware if they are all recovered, but there was 2 deaths from assumed, because it's not really made to be aware if it's corona or not. Then we were able to put 4 ventilators at the hospital, and 200 nurses were hired on a temporary basis to handle the COVID-19. Elvis, I would also like to add that Tharaka Nithi has a very special, let me say, a setup where we have involved. Every village has a community volunteer under the salary of the executive, who leads health matters from the ground. So we have so many community volunteers who have gone through training, have been put to task to be able to deliver on COVID-19. I think that was the best approach for me, because now we're able to report things that are happening, which village is not taking precautions. But sadly, I have to report that I have seen a very senior politician in our county go to campaign and putting risk of the Mwananchi, because he's wearing mask and the Mwananchi is not wearing. So that is another very bad aspect in this COVID-19 in our county. But in terms of money utilization, I would say we were very badly off in terms of health preparedness as a county. But the steps I've seen put in place, I would say, are good, because we have been able to partner with a private hospital to make sure we have a setup where we have emergency handling of cases at the private hospital, whether they are where they are either already decided to be corona or not. We've been doing mass testing. We had put the public booths that, of course, were removed. And I think, Elvis, finally, I would say, we have been able to put more funds into making sure we have more preparedness in terms of nurses and doctors. We've added a few more doctors within this period of corona. I wouldn't say I have 100% very good report on managing of finances, because our committee has not yet brought the report. But what I've seen on the ground is satisfactory so far.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that contribution. Maybe to just bring in Honorable Chris Mark, I believe Laikipia County is one of the counties that also has been worst hit, because I believe Laikipia County has so many hotels, has so many tourism attraction sites there. I think a lot has happened this time. A lot of tourism activities have been affected. I don't know how, because that economy was very crucial, even in terms of creation of employment, even to the young people around Laikipia County. I don't know what measures the county has taken to ensure that they are pushing these young people who have lost jobs, who have lost livelihoods in these times of COVID. And even the hotels, the hotel industry is now it's on its knees, actually trying to facilitate even the employees and everything. We've seen hotels trying to close down. We've seen notices from hotels like Intercontinental, which wants to shut down in around 45 days time. I don't know how you are trying to help these hotels also come up and just rise up again.
Thank you, Elvis. I do agree that one of our major income earners in Laikipia and major attraction is tourism. Now, a while back, there's something that the Treasury, with the Ministry of Tourism led by CS Palala, came up with a package for hoteliers, restaurants, and what have you. You know, it was good and it was hyped, but I can tell you until now, as much as a county, we decided to do 2 approaches: to lobby for our restaurants and the hotels to access that money to push on them at this time, which was like a grant. But I can tell you for sure, until now, that money was just good on TV, good on newspaper, but it has never been released. When we made a follow-up, we found that there are some guidelines the CS for Treasury, Ukur Yatan, should have done and is yet to be done. So I would really urge wherever he is, you know, such declarations come out strongly, but their actually implementation is a bit weak. I wish it was not just a political statement. I wish it can be actualized. Now in Laikipia, in our current budget of 2020-2021, we have put funds to cushion SMEs and the small microfinance businesses and the young entrepreneurs in 3 ways. Apart from the budget that we put in for this financial year, we have partnered with 2 banks, one of them being KCB, the other one being Cooperative. KCB, and I commend the executive because it was an executive initiative, were able to secure 2 billion.
I think we are losing you, Honorable Chris Mark.
Hello.
Yes,
Elvis.
we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now, sorry. So I was saying that the executive, and I do commend the Laikipia executive, got into an agreement with the Kenya Commercial Bank for a 2 billion loan, repayable by the county in, I think, a period of 6 years. Now, this loan is guaranteed by the county government itself on behalf of all the small microfinance enterprises and people who have lost business, because we saw there is need for a kind of, I don't know, affirmative action to actually cushion all those people, because we are getting proposals from the public. They want waiver on land rates, waiver on the monies they pay for cess, waiver on business, the one they pay as business registration every year to the county. So that is one of the things that was done, and I commend it because, you know, someone can be willing to get a loan, has an idea, needs to buff his business, but they do not have the securities or even the collateral. So the county came in and signed a deal, which is in the public domain, of 2 billion with the KCB to cushion the people who have lost businesses during this time of COVID, which is a loan payable at a very minimal interest, but guaranteed by the county. The second one was a 300 million by Cooperative Bank to do the similar thing. And these 2 loans, I can tell you, cuts across not just hotels, but even the small industries, because both of them operate in a similar nature, in an independent nature. Be as it may, in the budget, we also put a cushioning fund. It's not a lot, it's around 60 million, but to try and cushion these hotels that have lost the monies or rather revenue incomes during this time. But I can tell you that is more of a loan. So those are the things we have done, Elvis. And even not to leave behind our youth. In Laikipia, and it may be a little, but it's something that now came from the side of the assembly, which I really pushed. And I said, what the government is doing with the Kazi Mtaani, it's a very important initiative. But you all know that they're not taking every youth. In Laikipia, they only got 3,000 youths being taken for that program. And it's better a youth to do whatever they're being given and go home with money at the end of the day, rather than you having a hungry youth in the street and what have you, and saying as an economy, we are doing well or we are going on well. So we've put 60 million for this first quarter. It's not a lot of money, but at least it will be able to increase from the 3,000 taken by the national, an extra 3,000 on our side now, with a similar program of Kazi Mtaani to just cushion them. And we'll involve them in civil works, environmental programs, and what have you that is needed to actually cushion them during these hard times.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for that contribution. And it's good to know that as a county government, you have put in measures to ensure that you are cushioning the hotel industry and the young people against the adverse effects of this COVID-19 pandemic that were really unprecedented and no one planned for. And it's a commendable job that the county government and the county assembly and you yourself, you are doing in ensuring that these things come to pass. And then I'll go to Honorable Lucy before I pick a contribution from one youth before we move to the next topic. Honorable Lucy, Kiambu is very much related to Nairobi. Sorry about that. So I was just saying, Kiambu County is very much related to Nairobi, and the night economy has been really hit. And we've seen in the recent past a lot of issues about closure of bars and everything, and there have been a lot of reluctance even from these people who run these bars and the people who work in these bars and everything. And you know, just like Nairobi, I think the night economy, even in Kiambu, is one of the greatest source of income and even employment to most of the young people. I don't know, in a bid to curb these young people, what is the county government doing? Because now they can't go work in the bars, they can't do their jobs, the bars can't operate and everything.
Okay, Kiambu is one of the reasons why we are now on the spotlight, having to be, I think we're almost the second county that has more cases considering now Mombasa went down. I don't know what they did. But now what is happening in Kiambu is that, like you've said, these bars opening is one of the causes, because people are coming from Nairobi to come and drink in Kiambu. And we had a very, very big fight when our governor said that we are going to close all bars, considering in Kiambu, most people earn from it. I think that is, the bars are one of the cases that is making Kiambu have an increase in COVID-19 cases. And now that they are closed, I think the cases will go down. In terms of preparation, the governor is very serious about it. That one I can confirm. And then he has, I'd like to appreciate that he has a very good PR. He's able to have meetings and then work with private sectors to be able to have more funds, because funds is one of the main problems that are causing us not being able to fight this COVID-19 well. For example, just the other day he was with Mabati MRM, Mabati Rolling Mills, and SAFO, and even JKUAT. They gave us $1 million shillings to fight COVID-19. So you find that even if the funds that we give from the county are not enough, the governor is able to join with the private sectors to be able to add more resources to be able to fight COVID-19. In terms of capacity, the president had given a directive that at least we should have, was it 300 beds capacities? Okay, I could say that in Kiambu we have surpassed, because we were targeting to have over 1,000 by the end of this month. So like the other day, the CS was in our county and we were able to add more beds in Tigoni and that's other hospital, Wangigi. So in Tigoni and Wangigi, we were able to get around 380 beds. So meaning that is meaning we have a number. We are able to, we can say that as at now we can be able to, we have a capacity that can be able to hold at least almost 1,000 bed capacity. Then another thing that I think we need to keep, what we are trying to do is to keep telling people, advising people to take care, because I've realized like now in the county assembly, we don't do, there's a directive that came that we're only supposed to have meetings of only 4 members. But I understand people are still having meetings. People are still having face-to-face meetings for over 4 people. So if we follow the government's directive, I think this COVID-19 is going to, we can be able to beat it, because like in the assembly, we've not been meeting, we've only been having virtual meetings, meaning it's like I've not been out for a very long time. I usually have my meetings in the house, but now the measures we need to take is when, like for example, just yesterday, the day before yesterday, we had put some 30 million shillings in the supplementary budget for the COVID-19 cases, specifically to buy food for the needy. So we, between yesterday and today, in fact, after this, I should be going to collect some food that we are going to distribute. So the only thing we need to do is to make sure that when we're going to distribute this food, we advise people that they should be careful with this COVID-19 by taking the measures, wearing masks and sanitizing and washing their hands and something like that. But I think Kiambu, we are prepared.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. And even before we get opinion from members, I would like to shift this a bit because our time is not really good. I would like to just bring in the issue of the revenue allocation and the current statement on the revenue sharing and what the measures that can be taken to avoid the possible scenarios that we are seeing now. We've seen that the ongoing revenue sharing and allocation to the counties at the Senate has posed a major threat to the county government. On August 4th, we saw the Senate adjourn for a record 7th time after senators failed to agree on the best revenue formula. And the genesis actually is the stalemate of the new equalization bill and the revenue sharing formula proposed by the Senate Finance and Budget Committee, which involved sharing the 316 billion allocated to the 47 counties and also the 26 billion equalization fund. So some factions think that the two are meant to give more resources to the already semi-developed counties at the expense of the so-called vast, poor, and forgotten counties. I would like to maybe get your thoughts about the current stalemate and starting with Honorable Milka. what do you think will be the best formula? And what are your thoughts on the current stalemate and how can we avert this?
Thank you, Elvis, for bringing up that issue, an issue of great concern to the entire nation. First of all, I think I will say that I'm sort of disappointed to some extent. I think I've never been disappointed with the Senate like I am this time. Having had 7 times of trying to bring a consensus and it is not happening. And the whole reason why we are not getting to a consensus is because of politics. I can tell you for sure, I don't think there is any senator in that Senate who can say that wanataka kufinyilia a particular county. None of them will tell you that. And there is none of all those senators will tell you that mi nataka sisi tupewe wale wanyimwe. None will know to do that. All of them will want all of us to benefit, all of the counties to benefit. But they're not going to achieve that until they shake off that political attitude that they're having. What we are having right now, and I will say without fear of contradiction, for me, what I'm viewing is I think I will say I have an issue with Senator from my county, Murang'a, Kang'ata, and Senator for Nairobi, Sakaja. The whole, the difference in the functions, the two of them, they're being brought about by political interest from supporters of Kang'ata and supporters of Sakaja. But if those two senators will come together and just agree, leave aside the political affiliations and interest and all that, let us just solve this issue, come to a consensus. I liked what Senator Murkomen said the other day, I think the 7th time when they had the 7th divide. He said that for them, they can come together and say, this county that was benefiting, let us half what they were benefiting and minus from another county. Like for example, a county like Kirinyaga, if they were benefiting with a plus of 400 million, we have that by 200 so that we do not leave Wajir minus 400 million. We minus them 200. That way, it will be like we are going to equalize that. So in terms of getting a consensus, I am sure they can do that. They are bright people, people that I have respect for, all of them, and they're people who can come up with a consensus and agree so that we do not come. I don't think Kenyans are ready for another time when they are going to have another sitting and they're not going to have a solution to it. I think they should just sort themselves and sort this country and unite this country. Then this politics of atini Mount Kenya ndio sijui inatengwa ama sijui we are looking at the pastoral counties. There is nothing like that. Every Kenyan needs to benefit. But as far as the formula is concerned, here is my take. If we say that development is for the Mwananchi is you and I. The Mwananchi for me is not maybe those resources that we have. So the issue here is about population, which is what has brought those disagreements in the county, in the Senate rather. So if we are to bring development in the to the Mwananchi, then let us have money to that Mwananchi. I'll give you a very good example of a study that was done the other day, and I've even written it down. We have a population of 291,000 people approximately in Marsabit, and that county receives 7.2 billion. That gives you a per capita of 24,000 every person every year, 24,000. That is for you as a person living in Marsabit for your own development. I take an example like Meru. Meru has a population of 1.3 million. They receive 9.3 billion, leaving you with a per capita of 6,800 per capita. So tell me, if the population of Marsabit is 291, that is almost 3 times. That is, I think, what is 1.3 divided by 291? Almost 6 times that of Meru. So we need more resources to the people. Hata kama tunasema that we need to look at the land issue, they want their land. I think maybe, I don't know, they want money taken to the land. It is okay. But if that land is going to give us money, then so be it. If people in Kiambu are the ones who are having those businesses, and in Nairobi, alafu wanyime pesa, I think it is only fair if you give them more money so that they can have more development. And it's not that we are saying that tukipata development, we are not going to give to people of Marsabit. Marsabit also is going, they're also having their revenue collection. They also have their own share. So let's share be given with regards to the population. Let people have that money. But we are not saying ati tunafinyia ile county ama tunakosa kufinyilia.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for your contribution. I think that is a very broad discussion, and of course, if we were to hold it, that one will take another whole day. But I would just like to get the brief thoughts about from you, the members, especially of the county assemblies, now that you represent various counties, and this is something that is really going to come into the counties. Just getting brief thoughts about what you think and how can we better handle these scenarios. Honorable Lucy. Let's go to Honorable Joelisa, then we can come back to you, Honorable Lucy, as you get settled.
Thank you so much, Elvis. I'd first of all start by saying, like Honorable Milka has said, I think we need to get the politics out of the revenue sharing, because we just got to the point where it's not, and actually one of the senators actually said it, shamelessly, I would put it. They said, we are not going to lose, our party is not going to lose the Northeastern and Coast region votes. The thing is, the revenue sharing formula as presented by CRA puts very good parameters, I would say, in perspective, because it does not make sense, like Millicent, like Milka said, when you have a county receiving 7.2 billion with a population of 700,000, yet Kirinyaga with a population of 670,000 people received 4.2 billion. It does not make any sense. And it's not to say that Kirinyaga has the best of roads. Actually, our road network is just as bad. Yeah. So the parameters that were put in place, which gave a lot of factor on health. So I'm going to use health as a factor. So compare a county where, fine, the land mass is humongous, yeah? There's a lot of land and people are sparsely populated. So it would make sense that if you say like we are going to get water into those places, it might take more resources. But think about a parameter like healthcare. So while Kiambu might need 2 to 3 level 5 hospitals, the same is not applicable for a county like Wajir or Marsabit, because people are sparsely populated. You are not going to build one hospital in the capital of the county with 5,000 bed capacity, while it is what you would do in Kiambu. Then again, look at the fact, so then the translation of that would be, you would build small hospitals in the sparsely populated areas, which will not cost as much as building 3 level 5 hospitals in Kiambu. So again, population becomes a factor. So we cannot negate the fact that population is a factor. As much as we want to say, oh, these countries are big, we are going to receive, we ensure
Host,
that the parameters that are...
Excuse the host, kindly, CMD, mute your mic.
I would say the parameters that are being used take consideration of how the county is. Not forgetting the fact that these counties have actually been receiving these amounts of money since 2013. So yes, we are not saying leave these counties behind. We are saying let us move at the same pace, not taking away from others. We are punishing others for nothing, just because there's the perception that, oh, there was development happening. The biggest argument I would not even want to hear anymore is this story for Thika Road. Thika Road does not get to Kirinyaga County, so I don't know how it benefits us as Kirinyaga County in the first place when it comes to this allocations that we get. The thing is, if we take counties like and how much counties contribute also into the national kitty, I think Lucy will tell us that Kiambu level 5 collects about 1 billion a year, which goes back into the national kitty. Then telling us again now we are going to take away money from Kiambu does not make sense. They are taking care of more people, they are giving back more, and then okay, no, we need to take back away from Kiambu and give it to somewhere else. Does not then make sense. I think it is important that we look at what CRA gave us. CRA formula actually made the most sense. Putting in parameters.
For multi-party, kindly mute your mic. Center for multi-party, the host, kindly mute your mic.
Putting in parameters like healthcare at 25% made a lot of sense. Putting in agriculture as a parameter, putting in water as a parameter, it balances it out. So then doing these other things of which I'll call is playing politics. And then the thing then we should actually be looking at is, fine, these counties are actually left behind. What about the equalization fund? Isn't this something that we need to concentrate more on? Because we say, okay, we have given you your equal share. Now let us bring you back to par with the other counties. Instead of taking away money from these other counties, first of all, let us give you your equal share per your population, per what the services that your people need. This is the much money we will give you. And then let us get an equalization fund, because we will say these counties have been left behind for a very long time and they need to get up to par. It's not to say that we are going to leave them behind. And then also the other thing I'd want to mention is, while we are doing the equalization fund, is to say the thing that makes these counties be left behind, most of them ends up being national government functions, not county government functions. So when we talk about building tarmac roads, that is under KENHA, that is national government function. So, well, we need to increase the money from that is being allocated to counties from 315 million. Let us increase that to maybe 360 so that we have more monies going to the counties. But also let us look at what is being left in national and why is it being left in national, and then we can allocate this and help the counties get back to par with the other counties without necessarily taking away from other counties. Let us give equal share, fair share to what people need and deserve, and then also lift others up to where the point that they need to get to with the other counties.
Thank you very much, Moshe. As I had mentioned earlier, I know this is a very long discussion. It has taken over 7 sittings in Senate and it has not been completed, so we cannot be able to conclusively talk about it here. So maybe brief thoughts about
Chair.
I'll give a brief thought.
I'll give you a chance, Salim. I'll give you a chance, Salim.
Please. You are taking a lot of time with others, and the time is running out. It's a little bit unfair.
I'll give you time, Salim. Honorable Lucy.
Okay, I'll be brief. So I'd like to agree with Joylisa. You cannot come to take money from us when we're already using it and it's already allocated. So I think the government should just find a way of increasing money to the counties. Again, I agree that money should follow functions. I'd like to think about it in terms of now award. For example, in Kiambu County, we have a ward called Deya. That ward is so big, but it has a very, very small population. And you find that now that when people in that ward want to go to the hospital, yes, they will have one hospital, not 3 or 4 like in Kiambu. But now they also need roads. They need better roads to be able to go now to the hospital. So I think, my point, I think money should follow functions, so that we are able to equally balance, let us balance of counties' functions, rather than thinking in terms of one way of balancing. We think of the functions and what each and every county needs, because some need roads, some need hospitals. You see, like in the case of Kiambu Hospital, when I want to go to, there are like 3 hospitals. When I want to go to Kiambu, I want to go as so far to get a hospital. In some other wards, you find someone will have to go so far to get a hospital. So meaning some things like transport and roads are more needed there, and the road kilometers are actually longer, so more resources will be needed there to be able to have the roads. So I think we can find a formula to be able to balance these resources without having to fight from this county and this county. And it is okay when the Senate decides to take time and decide, because we can't, let us not give ourselves 2 choices. Let us think of so many other ways that we can be able to balance, so that we are not left with just one choice, neither he or COE. No, my thinking is that there's just a way that we can be able to balance. Let the money follow functions.
Thank you very much. I think we have gotten you very well, that let the money follow the function. I thank you for being brief, because as I mentioned, our time is really running, and we would also like to take a few views from the youth who are following this discussion. So maybe as I invite Honorable Millicent as just a brief of your thoughts around it, and yes, just briefly.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say, Elvis, that I support the 28 counties gaining, but not the other 19 losing. Just like we said, the essence of devolution is bringing services to Mwananchi. It's not that taking them away. It is a situation of 2 legs working together. One leg is at the front it needs to keep working. The one at the back needs to know it is going to change position next time. Two, I want to ask you and pose a question here. How many times is last adjournment the last adjournment? The Senate is holding the counties at ransom. They need to come up, stop politicizing this, like everybody has said, and just agree on a formula that works for all counties. Let us pump more money into giving counties support and reduce the money being left at the national government to go to counties, so that the counties that need more money get more money, without reducing the money that is going to counties that they feel that needs to get the money chucked from them. Because once again, devolution came to make services available. So if you already counties are straining, there's no county that is not straining. So if you reduce money, allocation of money to those counties, then you're crippling the activities in that county and killing the spirit of devolution. What I would suggest, just to be very brief, is let's get more money being put into counties. Let's get the 17 billion added to the dense counties that need more money in terms of population, but not touching the money from the counties that are sparsely populated, because they are already struggling with what they have. I would like to say that the revenue sharing formula is very good. The president and his government has well thought out this, but the popularization of this thing is now killing the whole essence of the revenue sharing, and that is what needs to stop, Elvis. We need to stop that and find ways of making sure the Rakanithi that has less population than Kiambu does not suffer because we want to fund Kiambu. And we do not also make Kiambu suffer because we want to favor Tharaka Nithi. These are children of the same mother. 1 shilling, 1 man. Let us just make sure that we are making sure no county is being crippled by this formula. Otherwise, it's a very good formula. But then let us not criticize it, and let's not leave any county behind. Let us balance for the essence of devolution. I would have said more if it was not because of time, but please create a platform for more of this from us. We are suffering at the ground.
We definitely will create more time and even more sessions, so more than 7 maybe. Honorable Chris Mark, maybe you could also come in and give your thoughts.
Thank you, Elvis. I know we are also bad of time, so I'll not repeat what my colleagues have said. But the fundamental key thing here is services must be taken to the people. Devolution must not die, because we know after 1963 we had senators and we had a bit of devolution even then. And then what killed it was such a scenario where money was not getting to the devolved functions of then. So what I'm trying to say is simple, that what, like my colleagues have echoed, each scenario should be looked upon. In fact, one thing I always say, we have an equalization fund that I think as of now, it's gotten close to 110 billion without being released. That can also be factored in when we are sorting such a stalemate. And the other issue is this. Last year, we had a similar scenario, and it was a bit different this time because it was not the revenue formula, but it was the monies to be allocated to the Senate, to the counties, where the Senate had a figure, the National Assembly decided on a different figure, and the CRA had a figure. It almost crippled the counties because that debate went on for almost a month or so. They went to court. So the governors and even the CAF proposed something. They said, let counties be accessing at least half of their budgets from Treasury as this stalemate goes on. Because if that would have been approved then, we would not have this situation now, because salaries need to be paid. Essential services like medical, like even the fuel for the ambulances, they need to be working. I saw the other day the Treasury
I think we lost you again there, Mheshimiwa. Maybe as Mheshimiwa is trying to get ready, because we really have short of time, let me pick a few comments from a few youth here. Wangui Mukami, your hand has been raised up since yesterday and today also. So let me give you a chance maybe in a minute, and I have to just give your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Elvis. Okay, I would like to weigh in on the CRA and say that what they've been using now, we find that population has already been awarded 45%,
and the land area, I think it's about 8%. So we can't say that when you're giving services to people in Marsabit, you're going to use more money. And when it comes to my county, such as Kiambu, where we have so many people, we are not able to get services. As Democratic Party of Kenya,
I'll get back to you. I think we lost you somewhere, so I'll get back to you. Wangui, kindly proceed.
Okay, as Democratic Party of Kenya, remember during the BBI presentation, we did our presentation and say that what we'd like to see in the CRA is that 80% of the funds should be allocated to the population. This is because we believe that people, resources should follow, should be allocated to people so that they get services. And we also like to weigh in a little bit on what Milka said, that when MCAs, we trust MCAs with oversight, but we cannot have MCAs oversighting governors whom they depend on to bring development in their wards. Because we've seen cases whereby an MCA want development in his or her ward, but because they do not dance to the tune of the governor, they do not get development. I would urge the MCAs present to try and caucus and try and push the agenda of MCAs getting independent ward fund so that they may be able to bring development to their people. The voters, Wanjiku, does not want to know how many laws you passed in parliament. All Wanjiku wants to see is feasible development. And if they don't get it, and you don't dance to the tune of the governor, then at the end of the day, they might be sending you home. Not because you did not perform, but because somebody had their funds, which would have carried development in your wards. Thank you very much, Elvis.
Thank you very much, Wangui. And sorry for keeping you since yesterday, but because there are so many people trying to. So let me just take another brief comment from Salim. Salim Saidi, your hand has been up. Maybe you could give us thoughts.
Thank you very much, Elvis. First and foremost, I am also a nominated member of the County Assembly of Lamu, representing the elderly, the only one in Kenya. On CRA, hey, that's a big issue, my friend. Here, because, for instance, if we do this formula of CRA, which they've proposed, they factored in on health and agriculture. What about fisheries? I mean, they left fisheries out. For us in Lamu, the biggest problem is service delivery. Cost of service delivery, when they have been compensated for land mass, they should be compensating us for sea mass. Because if you take a car, for example, 10,000 shillings of fuel, you will go with a car, move around the county, come back, the car has still fuel. You take a boat to Kizingitini, 50,000 worth of fuel. You come back, you have nothing. So cost of service delivery has to be considered in these terms that I'm saying. Then furthermore, our people needs to be looked at in terms of when giving population. Let us look at all these counties and be fair to them, because the devolution was, the intended purpose was to bring these counties at par. Now, I had a lot of things, but to shorten it,
yeah, please.
About what Honorable Midred said, we do not bow to the governors. In Lamu, we have a separate account for the county assembly and a separate for the executive. Our funds are given, and this should be for all the counties so that you don't kneel down. And the suggestion was the last speaker that the MCAs should go for ward development. In my view, we should not do that, because the governors have come in with their own manifesto. They will never do things what the MCAs want. Let us play our role properly in terms of oversight. Call the CECs. Let's not, as a last resort, we go to impeaching. But if you call the CECs, they are answerable to the assembly. Let us not abdicate our duty as county assemblies and leave it to the Senate. When I see people going to the Senate to discuss the auditor's report, I feel very bad, because that is our duty. We should be doing it first. put the executive to their kneel, question them. That is when we will be performing better. Thank you very much. But please arrange for another forum. We discuss these things in length.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma, for being very brief, and thank you for joining in from Lamu. We are so glad to have you in this meeting. Maybe another last one. Kiptanui Koge, your hand has been up. Maybe you could say a word in a minute, because we are really out of time. We are less than 10 minutes to go. Kiptanui Koge.
Thank you very much, Elvis. I want to say that the problem that we have as a country is being reactionary. What we are doing as a country is reacting to situations instead of planning. Also, another thing, I would say that on COVID-19 funds, let me chip in a little. I'll say that these COVID-19 funds that the MCs are saying it's hard to audit because of virtual meetings and so on and so forth. I feel that it should be our sole that funds
Center for
multi-party
kindly mute. Center for multi-party, the host.
Yes. I was saying that these funds should be used sustainably, because we cannot afford to also feed people time and again. Another point is what happens in the counties is that the counties are focusing so much on optic projects that can be seen. No one is focusing on intellectual resources and how and setting up a government that can think. Thank you, Elvis.
For that disruption, sorry for that disruption. There's a host who is trying not to mute their mic. I don't know what is happening. Working from home, but we understand that is challenges that we have to face. And maybe just to wind up the discussion, we have less than 5 minutes actually to go. Maybe Honorable Chris Mack, just as you conclude, also giving your final remarks in a minute. Then we will move around the members as we conclude in 1 minute, kindly, so that we also finish up this.
Yes, Elvis, I was saying the politics that got into the revenue formula made it look very bad, and it was very unfortunate, because it is something looks simple, but it can really divide Kenya. And we don't want a divided Kenya. You've had the honorable member from Lamu. In fact, it is a pleasure. He's the only nominated by elderly members, so it is good to actually have his wisdom here. We have never factored in such things should also be factored, because I have been to Lamu, courtesy of the benchmarks and what have you. And we took almost two hours from, I think, Manda Island to Kizingitini and Kiunga. So it is far, and it is something that they need to do to commute and to get services. So that should be factored. The grandstanding that is there, to the point that Milka's governor in Muranga is threatening to close the taps of the Nairobi people dry. It is not good. It shouldn't get to a place where there are such threats. And the politics. I've seen there's a meeting in Naivasha today called by the Senate Speaker to try and mitigate on the issue and come up with a long-lasting formula, because I can tell you, Elvis, if on Tuesday they do not come up with the agreement, it will be very unfortunate, and we do not want such a scenario. But again, it is even the mitigation and the consensus has not gone well, because I've seen that there are four or five senators who have snubbed the meeting. You see, these are grandstanding positions which are not good. We all have ambitions, but ambitions should not cloud things that are supposed to help the local mwananchi. That house in the Senate has 67 members. Our assembly has 24 members. The population of Laikipia is 518,000. 24 members cannot put the hostage of the county of Laikipia at hostage. Same as the 67 senators in that house cannot put the millions of Kenyans in the hostage. So it is a high time they look at the probabilities, they look at these issues. There's someone who's even talked about optics. Maybe we are giving this money and there's also a pressure, and there is no way of capacity of entrenching this money. Such capacity should be impacted on the counties, instead of saying we saw some counties in the northeastern that they were given so much money. We saw them building houses in Karen, we saw them buying houses in South Sea and Nairobi West and Lamington. Those are isolated cases. And maybe proper oversight, if done, and proper capacities, that we don't have to build a very big administrative block for the executive, but rather we need to make sure there are hospitals in every ward in that county, because someone talked about optics, which is very important. We've noticed some governors are going for the optics because they are afraid to be castigated that we gave you this money and you do not do anything. So those capacities are very important.
Thank you,
But
Mheshimiwa.
as I wind out, the politics should be gotten out of the revenue formula.
So your final word?
And my final word is this. There is a lot of education that is needed. I've seen someone in the chat saying even an economist should have been part of this. I can tell you even most of us and a lot of the senators don't even understand that formula. And if this thing would have even done proper public participation, because public participation may be done, but not in a proper way, to the point that it is broken down. What does it mean when we look at the population index? What does it mean when we talk of per capita? So that people understand and the emotions are gotten away when arriving at the revenue formula, but rather logic and the service delivery need. That is my closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Thank you very much for joining us. Honorable members, kindly, as we are winding up, just maybe take less than a minute to just give your final words, final thoughts, and as we wind up, Honorable Joelisa, less than a minute, kindly.
Thank you, Elvis. I'll try to keep it less than a minute. I think I'll go back. I think my parting shot is let us look at the real issues. When it comes to counties and why are they not delivering, let us look at the real issues. I would want to see Senate trying to address the issue on how Treasury releases funds to county and ensuring that the funds are released on time. This whole CRA mess is actually making it like now we have already lost 2 months because then Treasury has not released development funds for the last 2 months. So that means counties already are at a backlog. So I'd say let us look at the real issues there. Then the other thing is let everybody play their role and let there not be an overbody trying to like put down the role, because like if we let MCAs do their role and of oversight, we'll actually be able to make counties deliver and we'll actually make sure that the country delivers.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Maybe Honorable Lucy Muguru, your final word in less than a minute.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'd like to say that I've really enjoyed this forum. I actually think that if we're the one who are coming up with the formula, these participants 44, I think would already have a formula by now. I think this is a very, very good forum. And I'd like to appreciate the president. The other day he had a forum on a youth forum, and he said that he's going to preserve seats for the youth. Not preserve, he said that he's going to consider youth for the seat for the county CAS. So probably what I'd like to ask the president is actually to preserve that seat for CAS, all of them for the youth, so that we can also be able to represent ourselves in the national government, because I think we are doing very well. Thank you very much. I think what we should do is let us not put politics into this formula so that we're able to come up with a good one.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lucy. Honorable Milka.
Thank you, Elvis. My parting shot will be a few remarks. One, review the entire devolution system. Review in the sense you hold enough civic education to the public, tell them who is who and what is their role, and have a role, every person with a specific job. And I'm saying this because of the kind of overlap that we have had with the MCAs, those wrangles with the governors is because they're oversighting their bosses. We're having a person like an MP who is having funds in their in their kitty, but they do not have someone to oversight them. So for me, if you're giving funds to a certain position, then have another position that oversights them, but do not give funds to the same person who is oversighting, and let us not have that mix up. In other words, just review the entire devolution system and have enough civic education for the same. The other one, have youth support. Youth support in this point. We keep complaining that the youth do not have enough positions, but what do those youth?
Even as you contribute kindly in less than a minute, because we are already short of time.
Yeah, okay. So let us, the youth, support each other. Supporting in the sense, do not fill a position, alafu uende hapo ujawe na kiburi. Be there and help others. Wacha kuenda ati you just want to sit in a position and grab what you want. Be there to help a person. So let there be enough youth support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. Honorable Millicent, in less than a minute, kindly, parting shot.
My parting shot, Elvis and everyone around, I'll say, let Senate put aside their political affiliations and, play the mandate that Kenyans give them. We are at a very critical time. We are gearing towards 2022 elections. We cannot be in this standoff for long. It is about Kenyans. It is not about us, and they put us in that office to deliver to them. It is the high time Senate thought about Wanjiku and any other minor there. History will judge them very badly, and it will even judge our conscience even more badly if we are not doing this for Kenyans. Let us support what is working for Kenyans, not what is working for us. We are in those offices for them. I support that the Senate comes up from this meeting they are having with a solution. We will not have more adjournments. Elvis, I want to ask the Senate, this is to them directly, how many more adjournments make the last adjournments? That's my parting shot.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that. I know the issue of revenue is a big issue, and all in all, and as the stalemate drags on, it's the poor and innocent Kenyans of both sides of the divide that continue to suffer. And as the African saying goes, when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. So we hope that really this stalemate is going to be addressed soon, and so that a lot of service can go back to the common people who are now suffering. I think before we even conclude, it will be good to also get some final remarks from the program manager at CMD. But before he even comes in, I would like to thank all of you, all the members, the MCAs, the panelists, for finding time to join this. We know you have very busy schedules. We want to also thank all the other members, including the leaders from political parties, the youth leagues, the YSOs, student leaders, and even other youth who have joined us online from Facebook. We want to say a big thank you so much for joining in this discussion. And now, as we conclude, let me bring in the programs manager at CMD range to say a word, even as we conclude, to give his the closing remarks as we end up this discussion on the status of the county government. Is range there? Seemingly.
Elvis.
Yes.
Can you hear me? It's
yes,
Maureen.
Maureen. Okay, Maureen.
Yes, it's like range has stepped out.
Okay.
Let me try and get him. Yeah, it's like he has stepped out. But maybe I can just step in for him.
Kindly.
And say thank you so much to everyone who has attended today's meeting. It was a very insightful discussion, and we hope to have more discussions to engage all of us in the future. Thank you so much from CMD, and have a lovely afternoon. Until next time, kwaheri, asante.
So thank you very much all. Thank you CMD for these auspicious forums that you've given us, and we want to thank all of the people who have joined in this discussion. And now I hope everyone can leave at their own pleasure. Asanteni sana. I've been yours, Elvis Wambura.
Thank you, Elvis.
Thank you, Elvis.
Thank you, Elvis.
Chris Mark, wewe.
Yes,
thank you, Maureen.
Wanamtakiwa Thank you so much.
Sasa
watu waende nyumbani sasa. Chris Mark.
Jambo mingi.
Uko mzima mheshimiwa?
Wa hali wa afya labda mali tu sasa.
Tuko wazima. Kuja tembea Nairobi, usijifiche kinini peke yake huko Laikipia.
Nairobi niko kila weekend Nairobi. In fact,
asanteni sana. Thank you so much.
Mheshimiwa Chris Mark, kwani umekaa wapi? Una fly ama nini?
Niko kwa ndege, niko Isiolo County. Mimi nazunguka, unajua I have the best so I have MCs in every of the 47 regions. In fact, I'm coming to Millicent's County and even Kirinyaga. You see, apart from impeaching the governor, what else they are doing? Alafu nitamalizia Murang'a.
Karibu.
Karibu sana.
Hitaji ruhusa.
Where's your mask if you're flying?
You need permission from me to get it, Kirinyaga. Pole, you're not welcome.
Chris, where is your mask? You're not keeping safe. Good.
Kwanza Chris Mark, hakuna kitu kama kufly. Kuna lori fulani inapishina ikipita hapo. Ni kama umestage. Ikaa ikipita tu nionekane ni kama you are in motion.
Pale nyuma.
Hapo.
I am 30,000 feet. I'm 30,000 feet
above sea level.
Lakini Elvis,
nyuma yako.
nataka iende to record that Millicent ndiye ananijali.